Hello, my name is Malik Abastab. Welcome to Upfront. I'm sitting in for your regular host, Raymond Aqua. On Upfront, we ask all the tough questions and get you the answers. When we come back from the break, I will tell you about the crowded contest, which started with 108, culminating into 3, billed as a clash of the Titans. At the end of the day, when the Titans met, who carried the day? I will tell you. Yeah, welcome back. And today we are talking about National Science and Maths Quiz. And when it all came down to the final and the chips fell, it was St. Augustine's College that carried the day. They started from the preliminaries, 108. They were not the privileged few of 27. Today, when the results were announced, this is what happened on the school's compound.
Well, it's absolutely electrifying here at the St. Augustine's College here. A lot of the past students and then other teachers are trooping into the campus. As you can hear from the background, the students are chanting war songs, and the others, they are excited. They are super, super excited. And so that is what we see here. Student, hi. How are you? Tell me how excited you are.
Well, I'm very excited, very excited, because we had much confidence that at the end of round 5 we'll come out victorious. And indeed, as stated in our school motto, that perseverance conquers all. Indeed, we came out victorious after round 5, so I'm very excited.
Did you envisage that you were going to win?
Yes, please.
Yes. Because the contest was very close.
Yes, it was a very long competitive contest, but we thank God that at the end of the contest we came out victorious.
Okay, let me speak to some of the students. Hello, what's your name?
My name is Augustine.
I can see that you are very excited. Tell me the level of excitement.
I'm very excited. We had the highest scores in this year's math quiz, and now one was just to prove that we win this contest. We already won.
Were there some moment that you thought that you were going to lose?
No.
But the contest was very close.
Yeah, that's our motto, perseverance conquers all. Indeed, we have said that perseverance conquers all.
Well, let's speak with some of the past students who have joined the students here to celebrate. Let me speak with this past student. Hello. Yeah, what's your name?
My name is Kobinesi Edubediako.
Well, tell me how excited you are.
Charlie, I know that today every Absunian will be excited because it's very exciting to see that your old school has made history in Ghana. A school that went into a competition as a final.
These young faces you just watched are not the only ones who are excited. There's one man who, when he says everybody should go to sleep, all of them will go to sleep. And I'm talking about the headmaster of the school. Let's hear him.
So it's been electrifying on the campus of St. Augustine's, and they had some nervy moments. It was too close a contest, such that it got to a point that people were sitting on the edge of their seats because the gap was being closed by Presec Legon. But they started praying, and with each passing round, they said some prayers. It was 12 o'clock, and they said the Angelus. They prayed every other round. But when we were starting, the headmaster of St. Augustine's College was optimistic. Yeah. He was absolutely sure that the cup was definitely going to come to Cape Coast because they've never been to the finals and never, brought the cup home. So, congratulations, sir.
Thank you, sir.
How do you feel as the headmaster of the school that has just won this coveted trophy?
Let me say that when victory is won the hard way, it's very sweet. So I'm very excited, I'm so happy, and I congratulate my team for working hard to come out with this victory.
Wow. So what was going through your mind when St. Augustine's took the lead and then steadily the gap was being closed and it got to a point that it was just a 2-mark margin? How were you feeling?
Well, it was not easy though. Along the line, we realized that there were some few faults here and there. Presec closed up. But then yesterday I was in Accra with my team. I talked to them, I talked to the boys, and I told them that before one becomes champion, one must beat the best. Yes. And so this contest will not be easy, and that they should persevere, as our motto says, perseverance conquers all, until the quiz mistress comes out with a final result. They should not relent. So I was not surprised that even when Presec closed up, my boys still kept their cool and then worked on to victory.
So if you are given the power to give these students some break, some holiday, depending on the success that has been chalked, I mean, as the headmaster, how many days are you going to give them?
Oh, I see. When you talk about holidays, it is, for instance, today it was more of a holiday. I mean, we did not go to class, we were at the assembly hall, we enjoyed the program and all that. God willing, there are Green Track brothers who are also here, they will join them and all that. So let's wait. The team is in Accra. They will come, we'll put up the package and they will hear it, so they shouldn't worry.
So tell me, finally, tell me, or give me a hint of how the welcoming party will be. These people have just chalked the success. What are you going to do to welcome them? I mean, are you going to set this school ablaze? I mean,
yeah, and those being my final words, let me say that this victory, I dedicate it to the Absunians, because when few years back, 1-2 years back, when things were not going well, in fact, they came in, put in all the support, the logistics, whatever, to help the team and then the students to work.
So you just heard Mr. Joseph Cornell, the headmaster of St. Augustine's College, very elated and excited. I have with me in the studio a very arrogant, annoying, proud Absunian, and I am talking about the Kojo Yankson. This is the man who bragged so much so that some people even wish that St. Augustine's College would lose the competition, but they prevailed. And he's a proud man. Kojo Yankson, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
How did you feel sitting there and watching the lead of your boys cut almost to a par?
I've got to say, today is the first time I felt a little bit of what the contestants must feel, even though I'm sure I wouldn't be a particularly good contestant in a science and maths quiz. But for the first time, I felt a little bit of what they must feel, because I realized that perhaps about 50% of victory is about composure. It's about staying calm, no matter what is happening. And that is what the boys did so well.
You were tensed.
I was on the edge of my seat. I've got to say, when we got a couple of questions wrong in the true or false, and I understood that each one comes with a deduction of a point.
When Newton was not Newton today.
Indeed. Well, I mean, he was Newton. I think Newton understands that on some occasions you will get it wrong, but it's how you rebound from it that determines you know, a winning team. But I really got to understand that aspect of the competition today, the need to stay.
Could you let me tell our viewers that the contestants will be on this show? This is the first interview they are granting after the triumphant coming out of the race. And keep your dial here. They will be here. You will hear from them. You will see their faces. They were here yesterday. You will see them again how excited they are after the victory. Yes, could you?
I think it's also important to say that all respect must go to the contestants from the other schools.
And you are sounding unusually subdued and calm. This is not the Kojo Yangsin before the competition, before the final.
I'm getting the pleasantries out of the way.
So, I'm not surprised about that.
I think it's important to say it. They fought so hard. And Presec proved themselves to be very worthy adversaries. St. Peter's were strong contenders, and I've got to say, young Michael, who is a SHS2 student, standing up to represent his school at that level and perform that well is totally commendable. And I'm hoping that young people are encouraged by the performances of all three schools today. Having said that, in the end, there was only going to be one winner, and the only differentiator here is excellence. In the end, that is what carries the day. It's not just about what you know or what questions you get right, which ones you get wrong. It's about how your brain works, how your team works, how your nerves work as the competition tenses up. And you could tell that even the quiz mistress, Dr. Kaufman, started to get a bit frustrated by how many of the questions the contestants were getting wrong.
But tells you how difficult some of the questions were.
Which is an important thing we ought to discuss. Because I had a conversation with some of the consultants after the contest, and I made the same point to them, that I thought that the questions this year were particularly challenging. And they said, well, to be honest, the only thing they changed was that they skewed the questions more towards practical application of the theories.
Which is where we always struggle.
Well, they have exposed that. They have exposed that weakness of our education system with this year's National Science and Maths quiz. Because you could tell that the students often understood the concept. They just failed to explain it properly or apply it properly to the problem that required the use of the concept.
Kojo, was there any question you could answer? There was none I could answer.
I think there was one question about the two types of equipment that can be used to measure radioactivity, and I happen to know one.
Just one.
Just one.
Let's go to somebody who knows a lot about this, and I'm talking about the president of the Ghana Mathematics Society, Professor Enyonam Anku. Prof, good evening and welcome to Upfront.
Good evening, Malik. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Oh, by the grace, I'm also fine.
Prof, I just asked my colleague Kojo Yangsin a question about how challenging some of the questions are, particularly the mathematics questions. It seems we have a scourge of mathematics in Ghana, don't we?
Yeah, if you look over the period, you realize that we have been having problems with mathematics all over, all levels, not only SHS level, from primary up to university. Yes, but I think a lot is being done to, avoid the scourge, and that we are on a track where we are getting so many people interested in mathematics and science. And I think we have to meet them at this point where they are showing interest. But we want to do more than is happening now. Because what I realize is we need to have a conceptual understanding of mathematics, which I think we don't have. You could see from the quiz answers that people are memorizing answers and giving yes, no. That's all. But to what extent can they relate what they are learning to real life situations? I started with what we call mathematics for national education and development. So after this, how do we teach to make sure that the concepts we are learning are understood and related to real life? I can give you some few examples. How can we use mathematics to teach the concept of corruption.
Is it
Corruption
possible?
is a big deal now in Ghana.
Is it possible to do that?
Yes.
Though?
It
How?
is possible. There are few things that we need to understand when you go back to the basics. So you look at the symbol less than. It's just less than.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it mean when they say something is less than, more than, or greater than, or equal to? If a value of something is, say, 100 cedis, and go and declare 90 cedis, you are declaring a value which is less than the actual value. So it is under invoicing, which is corruption. So you just put the value is less than the actual value. It's corruption. And if you have the value more than what it actually is, you are over invoicing. So it's corruption. So if you understand clearly what less than, greater than, what these things mean, and equal to, in a very basic way in mathematics, and it's widespread all over, then people begin to see that if the value is equal to this value, and you are declaring yours to be less than, it's corruption. If it's more than, it's corruption. Depending on what you are looking for. So you got to understand this simple term, less than, more than, equal to. That's all. So we can explain this in the classroom very early to students to see that this will amount to corruption if it is less than or more than.
Prof, I'll come back to you to talk about how to take advantage of the renewed interest in science and mathematics and to improve on how many students pass the exams. And I think that there is a certain unanimity of opinion that unacceptably high levels of students fail these very critical subjects. Before then, let me take my final words from Kojo Yangsin, who has to go attend to other things, so you can brag all you want before you leave now. Your school has won.
Indeed. I was just going to say, Prof makes some very important points there. And perhaps if we had had a more, like he said, a more applied way of teaching maths, we would all have understood the coefficient of 7 when it came up at the sports.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that the final thing I'd like to say is that these young boys have done not just their school proud, but they've done their nation proud. They've demonstrated that by working together, by focusing, concentrating, and having a goal, they can achieve great things. And I think ultimately the best byproduct of the St. Augustine's College win will be that parents will now have more information about which schools to advise their children to attend in the future.
But you've just won 2.
Well, I don't know why
some have won 5.
I don't know why that matters.
Presec won 5.
And they still lost this year.
Yes.
So it doesn't really make that much of a difference how many you've won in the
But
past.
you have to win 3. You have to win 3 more to get to their level.
Why is that even the level we're achieving? We were aiming to win this year, and we won. And that's the most important thing. We've achieved our goal. Next year we'll have a goal, and if we achieve that too, then we're on course.
Kojo, thank you. Let me go back to Prof. Prof, we're talking about the renewed interest that all of us have seen in science and maths. What do you think is the result for it, is the cause of that renewed interest? And how can we take advantage of it?
Now, I think what you have done, Joy FM, is to whip up interest in the whole thing. So many people are getting interested. So we must take advantage of the interest and go back to teach properly and relate the concepts to real life. I'll give you another example. You see, we learn in mathematics order, first, second, third, fourth. This is a group of, numbers which relate to, when you say first, second, third, we are talking about priorities. So when you talk of priority, do we relate the things we teach to priority for students to see what is our priority in Ghana? What is our national priority? Is this a new office of parliament? Is that a priority? Priority doesn't mean that the other things are not important. We are talking of first, the most important. Second, the next most important. The third, so do we have that idea going around all Ghanaians that you have priority of things? So we must make sure we look at priority. What's our national priority? If you are a parent, you've got to pay school fees and you've got to buy beer. Which one do you choose? You have to pay school fees or you go and buy beer. It's a choice you make depending on your understanding of priority. So these are some of the issues you got to think of. So the interest is coming out. So why don't you grab the situation and make sure that we teach for people to understand.
Prof, you talk about teaching.
What we are teaching.
You talk about teaching for people to understand. How have we taught mathematics such that a lot more people fail than pass?
Yes, you see, this is an issue I've been dealing with all the time. If you come to my mathematics academy, we introduce what we call practical mathematics, where we relate all the ideas to practical issues around us to make sure that everyday life activities, there's nothing we do without mathematics. And it's for us to make sure that as we teach, we show how the concepts are related to everyday life activities amongst us. We don't do that. We just teach theory, 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 theory. People don't see the relevance of the theory we are teaching them. So if you come to my academy, you see that that's what we do all the time. We organize camps for students. And there'll be hands-on activities for students. We are going to organize one camp, we do it every year. So we have camp 2019, which is coming on from 4th to 30th of August at the Migasa Mathematics Academy at Lashibi. You come and see what we do. And many students who come to our place begin to understand and appreciate mathematics. And they have hands-on activities that makes them understand. Look, there's a big tension between women, most women, and their seamstresses. Why? It's all because of measurement. We don't understand measurement. You see? So we take your time to teach you the very essence of measurement. What does measurement mean? Students actually measure. You go and learn Sokatoa. How can you use the concept to measure the height of any tree without actually climbing the tree? Can you do those things? We teach those things during our camps. And students become very excited. So we make mathematics come live to you, the student. So they're very excited about it. So why don't we do such things? There are many other things we can talk of. Many, many, many.
I'll come back to you to talk about how to practicalize science and to answer the question, is mathematics itself not so abstract that it is practically impossible to practicalize it in a manner that makes sense for the majority of average people?
If I may intervene here, if you listen carefully to the questions, you watch that most of the questions, even though they are from science, physics, chemistry, whatever, they've got some principles and methods of mathematics in them. so that everything we do contains mathematics. That's something we must accept, that if your mathematics is good, your science, other subjects will be good. It showed today several of the questions that were asked. You got to the principles and methods of mathematics, you know, and you see we have been trying to run away to other countries. Where we want to go, we see the big buildings, the fine things. Behind them all is the principle and methods of mathematics.
Prof, there are others who
need to relate to students.
There are others who challenge that opinion, but I'll come back to you. I have with me in the studio the most famous, the most admired, the most talked about gentleman in Ghana today. And I'm talking about two of the contestants who brought their families, their school, their friends, their parents, everybody a lot of pride. And strangely, I have seen them smile. I haven't seen them smile throughout this competition. I'm talking about Anthony Papa Eliason and, of course, the famous Newton, Jimmy, Stephen. Welcome, both of you. And I think after every competition, Newton is the one who trends, sometimes more than the competition itself. It's good to see you. Newton, how are you? Were you tensed today?
Not really tensed, but you just had to complete everything. So,
when you got a fear of your true or false wrong, how did you feel?
I was still hoping that things would be better because our coordinators have talked to us that as far as the contest is not over yet, don't give up. So I was still having that feeling in me that we will be able to make it.
So you were not tense after getting a few wrong, especially at the level where you and Presec were at par?
They were closing the gap.
Because you were dropping points and they were picking some.
Yeah, they were picking their points and we were dropping ours. That was very bad though, but there was still hope.
And I said, were you tensed?
To be honest, I was a bit tensed, but I knew that God would take us through.
Why were you tensed?
Because eventually, like in the beginning, we had a lead. And
from round one
and round two. But when we started closing up, I was a bit tense, but there was hope, a lot of hope, because we know Newton and we know what he's capable of doing. We also trust in the Lord.
When you got to the last riddle and you knew that if Presec got it on the first clue, they will be at level with you at the same points, did that increase the anxiety?
Not at all, because this is a final. In the final, it's very, very difficult to get a riddle on the first clue. So when you rank, you weren't expecting him to get the answer.
Oh, so you knew it?
Yes,
that if they went, they won't get it.
Yeah.
And you were certain in your mind. At that point, did you start jubilating amongst yourself that this is it?
No, until the end of the contest, before you jubilate. But once the contest is over, you can't.
So at no point in the process did you know that this is it? Until the final one?
Yeah.
But sometimes you can also have that feeling in you, especially when you are beating your opponents such that if they get all the riddles on the first clue, there's no way they can close up on you.
So now you have the last riddle. Everybody was, for the pre-seconds, they were praying that if they got it on the first clue and they got 5 points, there will be a tie. Yeah. You were not afraid of that?
Yeah, as Eliason said, for an NSMQ final, it will be very rare to get a riddle on the first clue.
Why is that?
It's just very rare. Because we are going to catch up. And before you process and give an answer to that riddle, a lot of things has gone into it. So I don't expect you to get it.
You started at the preliminaries and there were 108. Which was the toughest competition?
To us, every competition was very tough. Just that a few surprises here and there. But everything went well.
Which one surprised you most?
We came into the quarterfinal contest very, very confident that we are going to pull through. But Tamale, although we expected it, they pulled a little surprise and we got tied up at round 4. But
and then you used the riddles. So you answered all 4 riddles.
Yeah, the 4 riddles separated us on that day.
And yesterday when you were on this network and you're having an interview, you said that you believed that your redemption would come in round 5, and the redemption came. Did you agree amongst yourself that you have to try and get all the riddles at that point?
Not agreed on, with each other that we'll get all the riddles. But before we entered the 5th round, I talked to our full and said that we should just relax and analyze each clue very well, and we'll be able to make it. And we relaxed, and they did not ring, but 1.7 will ring, get it wrong, then we'll continue and process our information and then give the answer.
Eliasen, you sit with the other contestant. When the questions come, how do you determine who answers what?
I'll not say we specialize specifically, but everyone has his area. Once you're very good at it, we let you move on, but we don't usually quarrel over who to answer. It's a privilege to answer a question. But if you're very sure and you know you can deliver, then we'll allow you to go.
It would seem that throughout this competition, the round 3 problem of the day has proven challenging. Why is that? Because in one of the competition, everybody got 0. And today, everybody got 1.
Yeah. One time, the quiz mistress said something that most of the time the contestants just jump into formula work and they don't really read to understand. Maybe each question has a clue that is hidden within it that you have to uncover before you go to the main thing. So I think many a times is lack of understanding and then maybe not having fair knowledge of what you have been asked.
And I said, at this year's question, do they test your knowledge of application than in previous competitions?
Very much. This year, the questions have really improved and they are more about practical situations.
When you say improved, what does that mean?
Like, they were theory-based, but now this year, most of them are very practical. How we apply it in our lives. How we can apply the science we learn. It's not like every day, it's not about just reading a book. It's about applying the science, because science is about knowledge, it's about life. So this year's questions have been very interesting.
Did they make it a lot more difficult?
A bit, especially the physics. I'll say the physics was a bit difficult.
When you say the questions, you can apply them to your real life. When I listen, for those of us who are ordinary average students, we don't understand anything.
Yeah, I remember one problem of the day, the one that they said why athletes have to stand on their toes before they start a race. Maybe you just see it everyday life, but you don't know the biology or let's say the science behind it. And
Teach
that was
us.
Explained. Okay, so for that,
Teach us.
for that problem of the day, they stand on their toes and it kind of increase their limb length and then increase their stride. So like distance they cover per, let's say step goes much higher. So they are able to complete the race in no much time. And you remember the reason why the NSMQ was also instituted, about why birds don't get electrocuted when they land on the copper cables. And so those were the times, there were rounds that were dedicated for explaining such concepts. But since it got missing along the line, so I think that they bringing it this year was very helpful so that we can move our mind from the classroom and apply things that we are taught to the outside world.
There was a question that required a certain understanding and appreciation of Down syndrome. Did you read that in the class, or how do you answer that?
Down syndrome is in the textbooks.
Okay.
But some textbooks don't really elaborate on it. I think because science and maths, we usually go further to learn more about it.
Explain to me how that happens.
Down syndrome?
Yes.
Down syndrome is trisomy 21.
Is what?
Trisomy 21.
Okay.
It's
now,
a condition.
Now I'm lost.
Sorry.
You explain. I'm sure there are those who understand.
Trisomy 21 is a condition. It has to do with the chromosomes. Non-disjunction. I don't know how to explain, but the chromosomes, they are supposed to separate, but it won't separate fully. And instead of separating, you'll be having like 3 sets of chromosomes for the 21st pair. It might lead to those children. They usually call them, the common name for them is Mongols. They have swollen face, swollen feet. And usually in Ghana, they usually occur to women who give birth like at a very late age.
Okay.
So these are some of the practical things.
This year also, we noticed that there were so many questions on black holes. And of course, this is something which dominates discussions in the international media and all of that. It's quite current. Do you learn that in the classroom, or you follow developments in the sciences elsewhere?
We follow developments because recently this year, I think when we're doing our preparation, we heard of it that a woman was able, and a team were able to take a picture of the black hole. But I think we know about black holes, but a few things escaped us. We know how they work, but there wasn't a picture of them. So it's recently this year that they were able to generate a picture about the black hole.
One of the things that people admire about this competition is how you guys work together. How does that happen? How do you put your strength together, pull your strength together in order to get some of the questions wrong? If you know the answer and he gives a wrong answer, do you get upset?
It's teamwork. That's why we are a team. There are 2 of us on stage. So like, whatever the situation, we are supposed to bear with each other.
So when you have different answers, whose answer prevails?
The one who is very sure. Like, see, someone might, you may know, your strengths and your weaknesses. You're a team. So you know the area where your friend is very good at. So that if he says he's very sure, you allow him to go. If I say I'm very sure, then you allow me to go.
Yeah. And for many of us, the questions are too complicated. When you go to the school from year 1, do you decide purpose in your heart that I am going to be part of the competition, or how do you get selected to be part?
For me, I started watching the competition while I was in basic school. So I was developing love for it before I entered senior high. But as to how I was selected, they ran a series of tests for you. And if, by the grace of God, you get the average score that has been given by the teachers, then you are picked, and then you put you through a series of training.
So they run these series of tests for everybody, or persons who express interest?
Sometimes some teachers scout. They look at students, their areas. For example, me, I was recommended by my physics teacher. And so once they see that desire, that talent, they try to shape you and add you to the team. They recommend you to the coordinators and they train you, and that's where it moves on.
So you start private studies, or you have group studies, or how do you get to that point where your teacher can say, okay, this person needs to be recommended for this?
The teacher is with you in your class, so he knows you, he sees your strengths and your weaknesses. And once he recommends you, I think you write a test to verify, like, to confirm that you really are good. And once you are good, there is a facility, for example, in St. Augustine's College. I think by the grace of God and the old students, we have a facility for science and math. So you start prepping there, you do everything, you learn their books, the internet, and that's where everything goes.
Have both of you spoken to your parents since the final results were announced?
Yes.
What did they tell you? What did they promise you?
I've not really had any strong or long interaction with them, but they were very happy. We just took a shot and they were...
Okay, they were at the venue.
Yes.
So you took shots yourself?
And my parents are very happy, especially my sister. She was so overjoyed. She came taking pictures, very, very happy. I think this was an opportunity to put a smile on their faces.
What's next for you after this competition? You are both final years.
Yes.
After school, what next? Who wants to become a medical doctor? None. Who wants to become a petrochemical engineer? None. Who wants to do IT?
at all. But
So
Both of you want to do IT. Why?
I see IT as an advancement, like in this modern times. In this, we'll not be sitting here because of technology, the microphones, the television, the lights, and everything. And I also love technology, especially the math aspect, the coding, cryptography, and everything. So I like to use it to impact on the lives of others.
Yourself? The same thing?
yeah, I also like playing on codes and learning things about algorithms and other things. So I also think that I'll be pursuing something like it.
Anyway, it's been an honor talking to the both of you, Eliasen and the famous Newton. Congratulations, both of you. It's been an honor. You've made your country, your parents, your school, everybody proud. Take care of yourself. We'll take a short break. When we come back, the person who helped these two to attain the feat that they have achieved will join me, and we will continue with this discussion. Keep watching. Yeah, welcome back. You're watching Upfront, and today we are talking National Science and Maths Quiz. The unsung hero of the St. Augustine's College team that won the laurels is Mr. Adumakun Isaac. He's the coordinator of the Science and Maths Quiz team of St. Augustine's College. Chief, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Were you tense at any point? Be honest with me.
Oh, no.
Really?
Yes, I wasn't.
Even when it got tough?
No, I wasn't.
And your competitors were closing the gap?
I wasn't.
And your famous Newton was getting some of his true and false wrong?
I wasn't.
When he has never, he hardly gets them wrong?
Well, I was looking for something like that to happen because from the previous ones, everywhere was a Newton. So, you know, I told him to be very careful and shouldn't be pressurized with the kind of expectations that, you know, people were putting on him.
Were you worried?
No, I wasn't. We've met Presec several times before we came to Accra. St. Peter's, we invited them, they never came. And so I knew their strength. And unfortunately, the problem of the day was where I was not quite happy with the score we had anyway. But I knew, come whatever, Newton was going to do well.
Why did your students struggle with the problem of the day?
From the quiz mistress herself, this year the POD, some of them, she admitted in a review show that some of the questions are quite tough. It's beyond their level. Some of them you have to go to first year university physics, sometimes the second year university physics. So she admits that it's quite tough.
So the questions were tough?
Yes, it was.
What about this suggestion that previously all we have done is do theory? This year they decided to introduce practicalizing the whatever principles they are learning. It is the reason why the students are struggling.
Yes, I think it all starts from our terminal exams, the nature of our terminal exams, the nature of the WAEC exams itself. It doesn't do much of this explain thing. And so you see that children are also toning that line that is this, you move from a diagram, you know, some maybe definitions here and there, examples, and you're done. So I think if we want to improve, we should start from our terminal exams.
Okay.
Yes.
So WAEC should change its mode of setting questions?
Questions, yeah. So that it starts from there. Then when we are also teaching, we know that this time around, this is how we have to.
Throughout this campaign, which school gave you the toughest competition? The boy said Tamale.
Yes, but yes, Tamale did. Tamale did. In fact, with that competition, we were expecting a strong opposition from one Ponsem rather.
Okay.
Yes. Because we watched the Tamale, their first contest, and we thought they didn't do well, and you know. But rather when we got there, you know, fundamentals round one, you pick, the other school picks, and you know. But I know we're going to use experience to beat them because we've been there several times, so I knew that we're going to beat them at the end of the day.
The first time you won this competition was in 2007. That was the first time you got to the final.
Sure.
This is the second time you're getting to the final. You've won again. That's 100%.
Right. Thank you.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, I feel, one, I'm happy because we've put in much hard work, and I've realized that hard work pays. When you do and you do it well, the results will show.
What did you do last night with them?
Last night, in fact, when we qualified for the finals, Prime Time had a program for us. And so we couldn't get time for the boys to learn. We had interviews to do. We had to go to National Theatre to look at the plays. And so and when we got back late, the boys were tired. So we said that they should rest. Whatever they've learned already, when they go, they should do and do it well. There's no need, we're going to add more. So last night they slept. But we gave time for them to sleep.
I have on the show Professor Anku, who told us that the larger proportion of the things that you teach are theory, and that it is the reason why the students struggle. I know that earlier you talked about this, but is there any mechanism to change this?
Yes, I think if I should suggest, then I'll say that sometimes we should go to the field. Some of these technical schools have these machines. We should go and take a look at them. We don't do that. We stay in our schools. Some of these companies can even allow us. We go for a field trip. They take us around. We see some of the things that's happening there with the machines and so forth. We don't do that. So I think it's good we expose them to some of these things. Probably in their long back, there can be an attachment. They are in essence, but they can go for an attachment. We want to learn something practical.
Let me go and talk to Prof. Anku about this. Prof, so I'm just talking to the coordinator of the St. Augustine's College quiz team, and I'm asking him the question about the practicality. He's suggesting that if institutions and companies were to open themselves up for students and pupils to go there to learn some of the practical things there, it would help in practicalizing the very difficult abstract principles that we spoke about. Do you think that is a solution?
It is a solution. I'm not taking away from the wonderful things the teachers, the students, the parents all did as far as this, competition is concerned. But I believe there's something we are getting wrong. It is, we are educating people for development. And if they cannot use what they are learning to solve problems, then what's the use? So you heard them talking about, the practicality, the exams they are focusing on, the WAEC and all those things. There are plenty of things to talk about to change the issue. Because, you see, we need solutions to our problems. Go to anywhere in our country. There are plenty of problems that need solutions. Are we teaching students to learn how to solve problems? And science and math are very relevant in solving problems. But that's what we are teaching them. So that's the issue. We've got to deliberate over this very consciously and see what we must do to make, a difference in, what students can provide.
Prof, it's
one aspect of it.
Prof, it's been an honor having a conversation with you. Prof is in charge of the Mikasa Center for Maths. You have to visit Prof's center, and he has very wonderful methods of helping you understand and appreciate mathematics. Let me close up with Isaac. What next for you and for these boys?
Yes, these boys will be leaving soon. And so before they leave, we have our Form 2s who are also ready in the team.
Have you started identifying some already?
Yes, we have. We have about 10 of them. And so we make sure that whatever they have acquired, they pass it on to these boys before they leave, so that come next year, you see us here again.
Mr. Adomaku, Isaac is a coordinator of the Science and Maths quiz team for St. Augustine's College, the victorious St. Augustine's College, and they have been excited since the final results came. And the second time they are in the final, they have won. The first time was in 2007. This is the second time they've won again, 12 years down the line. They're extremely happy. Congratulations to them. My name is Malik Abbas Dabo. I have been sitting in for Raymond Aqua, your original host for Upfront. Until next week when we come your way again, keep safe.